Welcome back into the shop. It is finally time to dive into a big project. The Blazer has been sitting on the back burner for a couple months now, mainly because of me not knowing the direction of where to start with it. So finally I've been able to think a lot about it and decide where we're going, and plus I've realized a lot of things about it in that time of pondering of what to do with it. Because I'll just sit in here and look at things and go over things and find more things, and got myself a game plan finally. So it's time to start cracking down on this thing and getting this thing ready to go. Take a moment here and I'll show you what I figured out of what we're doing. So one of the biggest things that bothers me about this build, the rocker panels are actually cut out of it. This is normally where your rocker panels should be, and it's cut basically even with the top here, along with the bottom of the darn door. The door bothers me more than the rocker panels, but that is what it is. So after, oh God, what was that? Oh, that was just the shitty GMC grill. We don't gotta worry about that. But anyway, this piece right here is a 2x6 chunk of steel square, or a rectangle, whatever you want to consider it. But the former builder of this was going to weld it to the bottom of the rocker panel and use it as a rock slider and tie it into the cage and everything. I don't like the idea of that. I thought it would be a better idea to just order some rocker panels, and we're going to put new rocker panels in it. So that is my goal there. I'm quite happy these dog just chilling out on the concrete over here. Good boy. So we are going to be putting new rocker panels in it. Oh yeah, they also, because they cut the door, they also cut the fender. This, for some reason, didn't cut all of the inner fender. I mean, they actually left some of that. They even cut off the front of the bumper, or the back part of the bumper where it comes around right here. They cut that off way up here. Because another one of the things they did was this axle, you can probably tell from right here, is not sitting centered. It is quite a bit forward, probably like 4 to 6 inches roughly forward. So that's another thing we're going to be addressing. Actually, the first thing I'm going to be addressing, that is my first big project we're going to jump into, is relocating this axle back so that it is centered in our wheel wells. We are going to be cutting these brackets off of this plate, moving them back. I'm also going to be redoing this plate because, well, I don't really like it. Doesn't look the best. But this was somebody else's build. I bought this from a guy who had a vision, and it was kind of started by 3 different people, tossed between them, and now I've got it. So now I get to put my vision into it and figure it out. So the front end is really the only complication of this, and the rocker panels. We have to go through after that. You can see all the cage is only tack welded into place all the way around the top and the inside here. Well, that one there, that bar is actually welded, and it's welded up top there. That center bar's tacked in on both sides, and it looks like the inside main frame is done except for those center bars. Our A-pillar bars we gotta do some finishing work on. Tie it into the floor over here. Tie it into the floor everywhere. It's just kind of hovering in place because they were gonna tie it into the rock slider, but I think just because, to me, the cage is in here more of just for a cool factor, we're actually going to pull the carpets up and we're going to make some plates around them on the bottom right here. So, because it's already going to be structural enough. So, this isn't planned to be a big major off-road vehicle. I'm the idiot who is building this as a daily driver. Yes. This is the replacement for my 4Runner. So, this has to be a daily driver. So along with this, I'm also going to be taming down the lift in it. It's obviously on small tires right now, but the thing sits pretty darn high. It's going to be a big rig. So the front has 6-inch leaf shackles. I'm either going to order 4-inch leaf shackles or modify those to be 4-inch leaf shackles, because it's one of those things we have them. So in some cases, why buy when you can modify? So all depends on price. That's kind of where my big thing comes in, is it's all about the price. So, and then leaving the rear end where it is, and probably going with some 35 or 37-inch tires. This thing is set up right now to be able to clear 40s once the rear is leveled with the front. But that's not the look I'm going for. I'm going for more of a street rig that can basically go anywhere. So, and of course the bonus of it is our straight axle. That's the main thing that's drawn me to this, the roll cage and the straight axle swap. Otherwise, it's another 90 Chevy to me. But we don't do basic around here, so this is going to be a straight axle, full caged 92 Blazer. And we're also going to, let's see, I don't remember how many miles are actually on this thing. 254. But along with that, it looks like we also are going to need an engine. So, going to be pulling the 4.8 5-speed out of the blue cat eye over here, and we're going to be putting that in here. Hopefully I can get a cam and some good little odds and ends for the 4.8 that's in there. We can give her some nice chop, give her some future additional upgrade privileges, and hopefully just make this thing pretty overall reliable, because, well, it's already an LS. It's going into a 90 Chevy. There's swap kits everywhere just to bolt the stuff together. So figure out what we got to do for wiring, but that's just wiring for at this point. So heck yeah, time to jump into it though. So tonight I'm going to be working on removing this front plate and starting to relocate stuff. Luckily we got the old gray truck over there. We can go about getting some measurements off of where center is for those front wheels and translate that onto this. That's my idea. That's what I'm going to be working with. So, at further ado, it's time for a new big project, and I am ready to jump into this one. So, hope everybody else is excited for it. This one's going to be a fun one, so let's get to it. Started out with just doing some organizing around the garage, and then crawled back underneath it to do some more investigating and thinking, and I think I came up with another plan. So I had mentioned possibly modifying these leaf spring shackles to be 4-inch shackles, but looking at this, the plate they welded in here only has 2 beads on the sides, nothing on bottom and top, and has our 2 inches fully right here. So I'm kind of thinking when it comes to figuring out our ride height, instead of just ordering new leaf shackles or modifying these, I can take my 2 inches out of here and then re-weld this up however high I need it to get the ride height where I want it. So I think that's the route I'm going for redoing these. Still don't know if they need to be moved back or if they can stay where they are. I got to do some research on leaf spring angle and all that. So yeah, I plan on just keeping a leaf spring because it came this way. I mean, there's like $1,000 worth of leaf springs in this thing to do what's being done with it. So I have the parts. I'm not going to swap this over. My boss was trying to convince me to go coil spring, but as much as coil spring would be nice, I really just don't fully want to go that route because I have this. So we're going to keep working off of this, see what we can figure out, and go from there. So I think it is now time to get some jack stands on the frame. That way I can unbolt the front of the axle and start moving it back. So that is my first step. That's what we're going to be moving into. So time to get her all supported, get that front plate off, and we're going to go from there, see what we can figure out. Oh, got the big old plate off of there. I think it was a real booger. It was stuck on this left-hand side pretty good. But got the axle already pushed back. I gotta take measurements, but pushed it back, and that already visibly looks a lot better. So gonna start figuring out what we gotta do from there. The leaf spring angle doesn't look horrible. I mean, the shackle angle, they're, well, I guess so. They're back quite a ways. So I gotta do some research into that and make sure that I'm not gonna mess up anything too much with that. So yeah, I don't know. If you know anything about leaf springs, leave me a comment. How bad is that? But gonna keep trucking along here, figure it out. I'm probably gonna have a bunch of research done before this video goes up anyway, but still, I appreciate any comments if anybody has actually done this or knows what they're doing. So yeah, gonna start making some measurements though and figure out where I want this axle placed. That way we can get that front bracket re-welded and then get these ones relocated up to accommodate our ride height. So yeah, pretty good progress for tonight, but I am sweating my butt off. It is humid as can be out here, so I think on that note, that's a wrap for tonight. We're gonna catch back up tomorrow, see what we can figure out with this plate and getting the axle positioned where we want it. So
the next day.
Okay, start of another day out here. Left off last night. We got the front plate out of it that held the front of our leaf springs, and I made some decisions over today, just thinking about things. I think we're going to take the whole axle out. My original idea was to take the front brackets off, move the axle back into position, and then cut the rear brackets off and reposition those and also readjust those to accommodate the ride height that I want. So I think I'm just going to resort to taking the whole axle out, cutting the back mounts off, and moving along with that, because I can't come down with this currently to the ride height I want. And it's like in my mind I'm overthinking it, that it's going to pivot the axle back slightly once I do get this in the right spot. But then again, we could still try. I'm a very undecisive person, so, or I'm a very indecisive person. That's what I meant. So I'm still not 100% sure on that. That's kind of what I've been thinking though today. But at the same time, we're not coming down a lot, so it shouldn't pivot back much. I'm not sure. It's also raining at the moment, which is making it hard for me to go get measurements off of my gray truck. So yeah, probably just gonna have to go suck that up though. Go out there, get some measurements, and then come back in here and figure out where we're going off of all of this. So yeah, I'll be back in a little bit with hopefully a better game plan than what we have right now. After a lot more thinking, we're just gonna dive balls deep into this thing. I'm going to take the whole axle out of it, get these leaf spring mounts cut out of it, and from there we're going to start figuring out where everything needs to go. Get this thing set on jack stands to the height I want it, because when you look down it, you can tell, probably hard to find the right angle and you see it. It's squatted down probably 4 inches. Is the front end set up as a 6-inch lift and the rear end is missing the blocks. So I'm going to go no blocks in the rear and level the front to the rear. So plan I got going on, kind of what I'm thinking. So heck yeah, I'm gonna keep moving along. When I do set this back up though, I do need to still set it on the jack stands with a tiny little bit of rake just to account for spring sag and there being no engine. So there's going to be a lot of weight added back into it, so the front end will end up sagging down. So I do want to avoid the front end sagging too much because I want this to sit as level as possible. So have to try and account for all that and hopefully get this right. So wish me luck. Going to start tearing her apart. Well, we got the axle out of it. Now we got the truck lowered down to roughly right how where we want it. I still do need to account for, you know, the weight of the body and all that sagging on the springs, so gotta try and figure out the right amount of lift to put it at so that once the motor and everything's in it, it should sit nice and level. So I got a little bit of things to figure out there and just some guessing to do. So right now though, I set it down to where it looked level and then went one notch up with the jack stand. So we're going to see where we start with that. Once I get the center of the axle figured out, I can temporarily put the plates on the rear after we cut them out and then play with where we want to be. So gonna get started on that here in a little bit and see what we got to do. I'm still debating on how I want to modify this plate. If I want to leave these brackets in place and only cut the top ones out and then re-drill these holes, which is really not a big deal at all. But I know everything is centered as far as these mounting locations go. So it's like, yeah, that part makes me like to keep it. But it's like it'd be more of a pain to cut these out just because they're welded both sides. So it'd be quicker and easier to cut these off. But my mind thinks it'd be better to cut these off because these ones are holding everything centered. Not that that's even a big deal, but centered's already been figured out with that. So that's the only thing that makes me want to keep that compared to redoing that a bit. So yeah, just been debating that. So that'll be my main hold up until I commit to it. So gonna do some more measurements and I will be back in a little bit with some more progress. So
The next day.
hey, well, jumping back into it tonight, didn't get anything done last night, ended up taking a side quest. Found a red door. Big bonus. So got us a nice rust-free red door for the red Blazer. But that we're just acquiring for when we start doing the rocker panels. Still looking for a driver's side door and some fenders, but fenders I can wait on. I at least want to get doors for doing the rocker panels, but we're going to jump back into the front end tonight. Gonna start cutting up this plate. Got our bottom tabs cut off of here. And then we're also going to cut off our rear shackle mounts. So get that taken care of. And yeah, just keep trucking along, start moving into it, see what we can figure out. Once those bottom tabs are cut off, we'll bolt the plate back in, bolt the tabs up to the leaf springs, and we'll roll it back into place and start figuring out center for the axle where it's going. So set it up on jack stands the other day of roughly the height where it needs to be. I might need it up a smidge higher still just to account for everything sagging back down, but we're going to see, we're going to get everything clamped into place, and then we're going to set the weight on it and see A, if my clamps hold, and B, how much it sags down, and we'll go from there. So that's my plan so far. We're going to just start moving along. got the bracket shortened and bolted back up and the axle slid back under, and it already looks a lot better. It's not sticking out the front there. Center wise, I mean, shit, I gotta take some measurements, but we might be slightly far back, but that is good. And then do some more pondering on leaf shackles because they're probably going to be too long. So either order a shorter set or modify those ones. Still undecided there, but nonetheless, we can continue moving forward on getting the axle centered and getting this mocked up. So heck yeah, gonna catch back up with that tomorrow. Happy with the progress we have finally made tonight.